All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is thank you for joining us to learn about reappraisals and the data from the 2021 Assessor's Annual Report. Today's guest speaker is Washington County Assessor Russell Hill. Assessor Hill was born in Fayetteville and raised in Washington County, attending school in Fayetteville, Farmington, and Springdale. Elected in 2014, Russell holds the Senior Assessment Administrator certification, the highest certification in the assessment administration track recognized by the state of Arkansas. Russell currently serves on the board of Arkansas's Assessors Association, as well as the Assessors Legislative Committee. In just 6 years, Assessor Hill and his team has received multiple state, national, and international recognition for their efforts in the county government, including being named Arkansas Outstanding Assessor of the Year. Before I turn it over to Assessor Hill, I do want to thank our technology sponsor, Cox Business, without whom this technology that the Chamber's used today would not be available to us. So with that, Assessor Hill, I'd like to turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you, Zane. I'd like to thank Zane and Steve Clark and the Fayetteville Chamber for all that you guys do to make Fayetteville a great place to work, play, and live. And just a brief overview of what the assessor does. I never take for granted that a lot of people have no idea what the assessor's office does. So basically, we discover, list, and value all of the property in Washington County. And so I'm going to pop up, I want to share my screen here, and I want to do a little PowerPoint, get that going, so we can look at some of the data I'm going to share today. But so we discover, list, and evaluate all the property in Washington County, whether it's real estate, personal property such as cars, trailers, boats, horses, cows, chickens. In business, we do furnitures, fixtures, and inventory. So if I was to explain it in emoji sense, is we're like a pair of binoculars. So we're looking throughout all of the county, looking for that property, attaching that phone, who owns it, what taxing districts it's in, and then we put the value on it. So we calculate what the value is, and then we reflect that in everything that we do in Washington County. And then once all of that has been calculated in the right taxing district, you take the millage rate, which is made up of the school district, the city millage rate, and the county, along with the library and the road. And then that creates the property tax bill. People pay their property taxes, and about 80 to 85% goes to fund the school district, 7% for the cities, and 9% goes to the county. And so that's kind of how that funding, that mechanism works. But in a nutshell, we created a mission statement. Our motto is we value Washington County. That's what we do. We value Washington County. Just a little look at Washington County at a glance. 963 square miles makes us the fourth largest in size in the state of Arkansas. We're the third largest in population, and we're also the third largest when it comes to parcel count. I wanted to share this little graph with you here. This is our personal property. Just kind of shows the effects of what COVID has done. And I'm sure you might have seen that in some of your businesses and the way that people do business. The blue line is 2017, and then orange is 2018, gray is 2019, and then 2000. This first section here is online assessments for personal property. And online, between 19 and 20, due to COVID, we saw a 35% increase in online assessments, as opposed to the previous year, we were seeing about a 13% increase. Our phones, people assessing over the phone is the next one here, saw a 39% increase of people assessing over the phone, as opposed to the previous year, we'd seen about a 2% growth trend on that. And then the big one here is in-person personal property assessments decreased by 49%. And something we saw when it first the stimulus checks started rolling out in April, May, and June, we saw a 26% increase in assessments from the previous year during that 3-month period, which made me think everybody was buying a car with their stimulus check that they were receiving at that time. Here's just a little look at real estate transactions that have taken place in 17, 18, 19, and then you see a little downtrend there from 2020. So even though we're seeing less real estate transactions, we did see a bigger increase in actual construction, new construction in the county. So out of 249 work days a year, we average about 70 deeds per day that we process. And we have a team of 5 people that process those deeds every day coming through our office. Here's a little look at our parcel count over the last 4 years. So like I said, there's a lot of building going on in Washington County. Here's new construction. This is a really, really neat one. 17, 18, 19, and 20. We actually set an all-time record in 2020 with $760 million. That's just in new construction alone in Washington County. Never seen any. So we've been on a very big building trend. We'll see another slide later on that goes a little bit further back. So with that, and that does not include the University of Arkansas or any, this is just new construction that's being added to the textbook, to the tax rolls. So any schools that are being built, when Children's Hospital, the North End expansion, I think that was $160 million. None of that's included. This is just new construction that is going on to the tax rolls in Washington County. So in a 4-year period, we've seen $2.5 billion of new construction over the last 4 years. Remember that $2.5 billion when I show you this next slide. This is the market value. This is probably my most favorite slide. This is the total market value going all the way back to 1974. This is the countywide market value all the way to 2020. And if you look from, I mean, in 74, we didn't even have $2.5 billion worth. The county we didn't have that in Washington County, period. And so and if you look from 74 to 84, in 10 years time, we still weren't even at $2.5 billion. And in the last 4 years, we've added that, just added that new construction alone. And if you look here at this chart, there are 2 things that happened in the late 90s that, as you look here, probably about 96, 97, right in around here, you just kind of see things really even go back to 95 at that 5 billion mark. And now we're at 25 billion. And 2 things happened in this period of time that I think really catapulted Fayetteville and Washington County to where it is today. And that's the construction of Interstate 49. People forget that Fayetteville used to be a very difficult city to get to. All you had was Highway 71. And if you've ever taken the scenic route of Highway 71 to Fort Smith, it's not an easy road to take. And you think of all the traffic going up and down 49. Could you imagine shifting that over to Highway 71? So there was really, Fayetteville was a difficult place to get to until they created Interstate 49. The other phenomenon that took place that helped attributed to all the growth was Walmart saying, if you're going to do business with us, you're going to have an office in Northwest Arkansas. And so those 2 things really generated the boom, and with that boom brought a lot of value, and has really risen the value of the market here in Washington County. So from 85 to 2003, we hit that, we grew 5 billion in 8 years. I mean, you'd have to go from 74 all the way to 1995 before they grew $5 billion in the market value of Washington County. But then again, just in 03 to 07, we hit 5 billion. And then the really staggering thing here, and if you look at the trend here, 06, then you got the 07, then there's where it topped out, and that's when everything blew up in 08. Everybody remembers that. And then we took a dip down from 010 to 18. We recovered in 8 years and hit another $5 billion growth. But what's alarming, there's 18 to 20, we grew $5 billion in just 2 years. So the amazing growth that's been taking place here lately. We added, here's a couple things. Some of this is 2020 stuff that we did, but I wanted to share a couple of neat things that we've done. If you've ever visited our property search site, there are a couple of new tools that we've added that I'm not sure people know about yet. That's our oblique imagery. We contract with a company called Eagle View, and they fly over Washington County every year between, usually it starts in December and ends sometime around January. All the weather conditions and everything has to be right. We choose to fly over during those months is because there's no foliage on the ground, and we want to get a good look at the properties, so we can measure from our desktop and get the data that we need. So that's when we fly over the county. I think we're the only county that, well, this new thing that we do on our site that offers oblique imagery. Oblique is where you capture it at a 45-degree angle. So instead of seeing just the rooftops, you can actually get a better look of the property. And so that was one thing we added. Let's see here. And I'm going to show you the website right here. So this gives you, extend that. Expand this here. So this is the property search site. And if you see the Eagle View button, if you click on that, it's going to open up the window. And what we were looking at, it's out there. If you scroll down and look, that's the ortho imagery. It's just straight up and down. But when you hit the Eagle View, the window will pop up. There it goes. It's taking a second. So that's there, and then you can enlarge it.
We're still seeing,
and then you can get a better view.
We're still seeing
Can
the
you see it?
PowerPoint presentation, and not the. We're not seeing your screen.
And then you can.
Hey, Russell,
Thing here's with yes.
it looks like it's still on the share for your PowerPoint. If you've got a separate screen or a separate window open, you might need to do share screen again and then click on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hit share.
I thought I had a delay, but I guess not.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't switch over, did I? Okay, let's try. Are you seeing it now?
It's spinning, so it's trying to get there. Looks like.
Okay. It's a lot of data with all the imagery. And if that doesn't work, I'll just go back to the power.
There we go.
Okay. So now everybody can kind of see. All right. So I'm actually going to exit out. So now you're seeing, are you seeing the ortho view of just, is on the Eagle View imagery button?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So when you click on the website, this is what you would see if you zoomed in. This is my place out in Brentwood. If you click on Eagle View, it's going to open up the box. I actually had moved it already. So let's see here. So when it pulls up, there you go. You can do the 360, and then it allows you, you see the oblique imagery there. You can see the side of the building and get a little good idea of the, how it rolls. Another neat feature on the Eagle View is select date. So if you want to go back each year and look at the property and say, let's see what it looked like in 05. You can get a look there. And the people who owned it before me, they were gardeners and they grew a bunch of flowers and sold them at the farmer's market. But the ice storm in 09 tore a lot of that down. So, but you can look back on the history of something. So if you want to look back on that and check things out, that's a good thing to, neat little tool to have. Something else that we did new is we partnered with the Arkansas Department of Health. And if you notice the green square, that is the septic system for that property. And so we went back through every file of every septic tank that's ever been filed in Washington County, and we scanned all of that in, and then we located the ones that we could, which we got most of them. We got like 98% of all the septic tanks. We were able to put a green square to locate where that septic system is. And then, so when you're on the property, you can click over here to septic permit. And it'll show you everything about that septic system that's on the property. It'll show you the size of the tank, when it was put in, how many lateral lines, where everything is. I think there's, here's a drawing here where here's the house, there's a septic system, and then the lateral lines flowing out. So we found this to be a great source of information that people needed. And so it took us, that was a 2-year project that we worked on and was able to complete that. So those are our 2 big features to our property search map. Go back to here. All right. And then that was the septic system data with the green star indicating that. So when you're on the search site, you see all these little green squares. That's what those are. Those are the septic systems. Doing more with less. Our 2010 in 2010, this was just after completing a decade. Our budget was almost 500,000. 2020 it was 275,000. So even with all the growth taking place, we've really been utilizing technology to downsize our cost and be more efficient in everything that we're doing. A little bit about reappraisal. So we did our reappraisal in 2020. What that is, it's an assessment review of all real estate parcels in the county. So we did our previous reappraisal was in 2015. And so what happened in 2015 is we took all the values in the county and we froze the values January 1st of 2015. And so when you do that, you freeze all the values. It's really values from the last 3 months of 2014 when you do a 2015 reappraisal. So in 2020, we did the same thing. We were on a 5-year cycle at that time. And so in 2020, January 1st, we froze all of the values, which was really 2019. And then that's where those values stayed. So even though, and then that's where they stay from that point on. So we adjust the values to reflect the current market condition. Now, since the state determines when we have our reappraisals, when they occur, and it's determined by the market value. And since we're at a very aggressive market value, and then it shifts us to a 3-year reappraisal cycle. Benton County just, their reappraisals in 2021, they're a year behind us. They're going to shift to a 3-year cycle as well. I think there were 5 counties across the state this year that shifted to a 3-year cycle. When we did ours in 2020, I think there are about 15 or 16 other counties, and I think 2 or 3 had to shift from a 5-year cycle to a 3-year cycle because of the aggressive growth of the real estate market. So what we do is we just adjust the values from 2015 to 2020, those values. So when we value property, we value it based off of that January 1st, 2020 market, and that's what you pay property taxes. That's where those values come from. Now, with the reappraisal, there's a couple of neat things that take place. If you're familiar with the homestead credit, that's Amendment 79. People know it as the homestead credit. It's where you get your $375 tax credit for your primary residence. The other big thing it does is whenever you have an aggressive real estate market like we have at reappraisal time, let's say during our reappraisal in 2020, we saw an average growth in value of 48% was the average growth countywide. And so a lot of property values went through the roof. Amendment 79 protects people from those dramatic increases of those property values when you stay in your home. So saying your house went up 48%, well, you have a cap in place. And so each year, even though your property's valued at, you've got a great investment, your property taxes can only go up, or your property value can only go up 5% each year until it reaches the full assessed value. And so that made, for most people, they saw about a $10 or $20 increase in their property taxes, as opposed to an $8, $9, or $1,000 increase in their property taxes. And so that's one of the great things about Amendment 79. You can find out more. What we did in 2020 is we created a website, myvalue.org. You can go to myvalue.org and find out more about reappraisal, Amendment 79, how the property caps work. On your homestead, it's 5% a year. All other investment and commercial properties, it's a 10% increase each year over until it reaches the full assessed value. For many homeowners that saw a 35% increase in their property value, they're not going to be affected by that till it's going to take 7 years, because again, 5% per year. So as long as they stay in their house, they won't see that massive increase on their property taxes. It's only going to go up 5%. Now, the trick is if somebody buys a house, that cap comes off. If you buy or sell a business, those caps come off and it goes to the full assessed value. We had a number of people, each year we have a Board of Equalization appointments. So if you're not happy with the value that we put on your property, you can argue that value before the Board of Equalization. And we actually have 3 real estate realtors on the board who are active in the Washington County and Northwest Arkansas and know the market. And so they look at that property. You can say, here's something unique about, I don't agree with the value, I think it should be here. And then they look at it and then they can make a determination. They can either lower it, they can do a no change, or we actually saw one this year where they actually increased the value, where we had it on too low. And I felt sorry for that guy. He went into appeal, and it was actually for a commercial project, and he was a tax rep, and he went into appeal for his client. And they're like, no, this is way too low. It needs to be here. And so I'm sure he wasn't happy about that. But that's the way that works. The thing that we saw people complaining about, it wasn't the value we had put on the property. In most cases, we had the value less than what they purchased the property for. They were upset that their property taxes doubled. And that's because they were the new owners of that property and the caps came off and their property tax bill went from $1,000 to $2,000 a year. You know, that happened with a lot of folks. So that's the bad side of the reappraisal of it, but it does get us back up. So I'm going to share with you, this is Washington County market values by city. So this is all this is what happened after our reappraisal. So if you look at Fayetteville, over $9 billion, almost double than any other city in Washington County. So Fayetteville way out in the lead. And then Springdale right there just at $5 billion. And then a surprise was Taneytown being as high as it is. It's a very rapidly growing area out there in Taneytown, but I mean, really all these areas are. I was surprised to see Johnson where it was. It's got such a small footprint to have so much value in that area. This kind of gives you a list of sizing up where the cities are throughout the county. This slide tells a ton. This is probably one of my second favorite slides. So here you see where we are at 25.2 billion, the most we've ever had in the history of Washington County. And if you notice here in 15, 16, 17, this probably gives the best idea of our reappraisal. So we set the value in 15, we were at 17.9 billion. So the only growth, the only increases we saw for the county was off of new construction. So each year we were only adding the new construction that was taking place in Washington County to the tax roll books. Then the reappraisal occurred, everything went up in value. And so that's the new value in Washington County due to the reappraisal. So the market, so meanwhile, so when we freeze the values in 15, the market's really doing this. Meanwhile, we're not raising it for, we're only adding the new construction. Then in 2020, we adjusted to reflect that current value. And there you see the big effect of that. So there's the market values for each year on that one line that you got the tax roll, the market value. Here's the new construction each year, starting in 15 at 442 million, 16, 405, 17, 50, pretty much 508. 18, 630, 2019, 612. And if you look here below that, new homes built, 680, 906, 1133, 1218. You see that 1574, that is reflective in the new construction. That's the new construction added to 2020. A lot of times the building that happens the year before doesn't get added till the following year, because any construction that is taking place, if it's not over 50% completed, say for a 19, you're building a big construction project, if it's less than 50% complete by January 1st of 2020, we don't put it on till the following year. And so it won't go on complete. Now, if it's say it's 75%, we'll do 75% complete. It goes on the tax roll for that year. And then we'll add the other 25% the following year once it's 100% complete. Everything is measured by January 1st of that year on its completion date and what process of where it falls. And so that's all of that, those new homes built got reflected in that record of 760. 2021, new construction, very strong, 694 million for 2021 is what we're expecting to see there, is about 694 million in new growth. So not as high as 2020, but the second highest we've ever had in history. Look at median home prices, 150, 53, 164, 75, 195. I think now 2021, I was listening, talking with a realtor, and this is including Benton County too. Benton County has a higher average than we do, but Northwest Arkansas is about $300,000 for a median home is what you're going to look at paying now. And there's our parcel growth, 102, about 103, about 104, 105, 106, up to 108,000 parcels. See, again, commercial market value saw a 30% increase over 2019. Apartments and offices make up the bulk of the commercial property value in Washington County. And then you've got retail and industrial not too far behind them. Washington County is the largest industrial parcel county in the state. We have more industrial parcels than any county in the state of Arkansas, and it's not even close. There's our new construction, 760. That was in 2020. Residential market value. Again, Washington County's over just what, 25.2 million. 14.2 of that is the residential market values. You see 13 billion in single family residential market, along with townhomes, multifamily, condominiums, and manufactured homes. So single residential is very big here in Washington County. This is just a little bit about our office. We do have a lot of positions and staff that require certification by the state. Over half of our office holds a level 4 or higher designation. We've got 4 more in our office working towards that. We have 6 folks who have special designations in their different field of what they do. Since I took office in 2015, I've been able to return back nearly $500,000 of unused tax funds. So we've been very fiscally responsible with the taxpayer money. And then we've been recognized across the state 9 times, once nationally and then 2 internationally, from either Digital Counties, Digital Transformation, and the International Association of Assessing Officers. So that's about all I have. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have and look back at any data.
Do you mind sharing the slide again with the list of values by city, where I think Fayetteville was about 9.5 billion and Springdale about 5, that slide?
Yes, yeah, I can bring that back. And there it is. Yep. So, and I believe the chamber, I think you guys have a copy of these slides too, Zane. I think I remember sending them emailing them to somebody.
I'll look. If I don't have it, then I'll.
Or I can email them to you. I can email them to you, and you can make them available.
If you don't mind, and I guess another, and I don't want you to put you on the spot. Is this something that I can just email to everyone who signed up for the meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, that way if not just the folks that showed up, but I'll send it out to the folks that signed up. It might be there's informational that they'd like to have. I certainly, it's a wealth of information you've presented here.
Yeah, if you can,
we have a ton
of data. Send them all.
Yeah, we'll send. Yeah, I'll send all of them to you. So, and all you have to do is go to one of the DMVs. We have them we have digital boards up, and these are flashing through there all the time. So, I figure give something people to look at while they're waiting. So
Fayetteville's that high at 9.1 billion, and that's not, doesn't take into account any of the land that's attributed to the university, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, this is strictly what we put on the tax books of the tax rolls that people pay taxes on. The university is immune. There's a difference between exempt and immune. We had to go to the state Supreme Court to figure that one out. That was one of my first months in here. So first month on the job. Oh, by the way, you're being sued by the university. So
well, it's a pretty impressive number considering that, you know, how much land mass the U of A takes up within the city of Fayetteville.
Absolutely. I would think you would need to add at least another, I'm sure it's $1 billion that the university has, just off the top of my head.
So I've got a question, and not to put you on the spot, because I think you mentioned to it, but just your opinion during the pandemic, that 35% increase in online, do you think that's going to continue? Are you going to continue to see a more of an online acceptance than in person?
We had been seeing an increase ever since we started online assessments. We've been seeing about a 10 to 15% increase each year. And I think that's a generational. You have an older generation, they still, January is our busiest month in personal property. And it's usually a lot of our senior adults. They want to take care of it at the beginning of the year, and they want to get it taken care of, and they like to do it in person. It's something that they like to make sure is done, and they do their civic responsibility and do that. Where you've got younger generations who are more used to sending money online, or shopping online, doing a lot of their business over the internet. And so we're seeing as people do it, and it's just a lot more convenient.
And then you also mentioned something along the lines of the stimulus check and its impact on assessment. Did overall personal property assessments increase during the pandemic? I would have thought they would have decreased.
The personal property increase
Uh-huh.
during the pandemic? Yes. Yeah, and actually we're starting to see, well, everybody was getting the stimulus checks and they were
Right.
going out and buying property. Or they were
Okay.
buying vehicles left. I mean, it was amazing. It was like everybody's going out and buying cars. And now with the production being behind and there's fewer new cars on the market, we're seeing, of course, you know, you watch your TV and all the trends are used cars are increasing in value. And because there's such a, it's again, you know, just the law of supply and demand. There's not enough new cars that are on the market. Car dealerships are sitting there very, very sparse and having few cars. I was one of those that ordered one of the new Broncos back. I placed my order in January of 2021. I'm not going to get it till 22. So
Wow.
I said sometime in 22. You know, so I'm playing the waiting game along with a lot of folks, but that has increased, and that's going to be a headache I'm going to have to deal with next year when we see these values in used cars going up and people going, what do you mean my car's more expensive a year ago than it is now? It depreciates. Well, it used to until the market turned upside down and now there's a shortage of cars and because there's not as much production. So.
That was actually my next question is, do you see and anticipate an increase? And I kind of gathered that.
Yes, and the way that it's done, the way that we get our personal our vehicle values, that is, we receive those from the state of Arkansas. There's actually a department that oversees all 75 assessors offices across the state. It's the Arkansas Assessment Coordination Department. They purchase sales data from NADA. And so what we're getting is the NADA sales data. And then when you come to assess your vehicle, we have the VIN number on file, and that VIN is attached to a value. And so once that VIN number tells the year, make, and model, it just spits out the value that we received from NADA. And so that's how we get the values for all the vehicles.
Is there any
based on average trading?
Is there any opportunity for people to, I don't contest, maybe is too strong of a word, but to, for lack of a better word, contest the vehicle value based on condition, or is that just, it is an average and that is what it is?
Yes, they can.
Oh, okay.
No, they can. You can protest your value. We had a big debacle a couple of years ago where they messed up the values. We told them they were messed up, and then I had to mail out 88,000 change of value notices. And yeah, we had over 200 personal property vehicle appeals that year. So we were very busy with the Board of Equalization. And a lot of times if someone has a salvaged title, that has an effect on the value. We do reduce it for that with the Sept, but we need proof or something, or I need some sort of documentation in order to change the value of that, or the board has when the board meets every year, they meet August 1st. And so when they meet, I lose the ability to change value. And unless it's a quantitative. If I mess up on a measurement, on a structure, then we can correct that measurement. But usually values are determined, you're looking at qualitative, the quality of the structure, or the quantity, the size of the square footage. When the board meets, I can't, if it comes to the quality, well, is it a grade 1, 2, or 3, or 4, this or that, you know, it comes to the quality of something, that's in the eye of the beholder. And and after August 1st, only the board can make that decision. But if I get the square footage wrong or something, and we go and check it, then we correct it.
You mentioned salvage titles. Is that an automated? So if you actually have a salvage title, your Arkansas title is salvage, is that automatically tied to the VIN and it's an automatic?
Yeah, we reduce it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Usually we see it. If we don't see it, then usually the people are pretty good about bringing that to our attention. when we see it's a salvage title.
Well, I don't want to, hog all of the time here on the questions. Does anyone else have any questions for Assessor Hill? If not, then we'll go ahead and, I'm sorry, go ahead. You have something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, make sure if you get a chance to visit myvalue.org, if you want to find out more about reappraisal, how the caps work, and all of that. So.
Good deal. Well, Assessor Hill, thank you very much for your time. For everyone who joined, I appreciate your time, and we will get this recording up on our YouTube channel.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. My pleasure.